Forgot to turn that up. Good morning. Welcome to another 2K drive, like the 2K Drones live show, and I should say good evening to everybody else because it's only morning for me. As always, I am joined by my buddy, my brother from another mother, Chocolate Bag.
Hey guys, this is kind of an odd time. Say hello to Mr. Pumpkinhead.
He is pretty cool. He is pretty cool.
It's Laurie's pumpkin.
It's Halloween tomorrow, isn't it? That means it's also my sister's birthday. Don't forget.
Yeah, you're tomorrow, our Sunday. Yep.
We've got a very special guest. Unfortunately, Henry couldn't make it today because he is judging a robotics contest. But we have cool. We are joined by none other than Mr. John Coopy.
Hey guys, what's going on? Thanks for having me.
John.
How you doing, John?
Good. How are you guys?
We're good.
I'm mostly okay. We're here to discuss this.
Oh, that. Yeah, sorry.
Yes. And this is interesting. So we might as well
He's got the edge.
Get into it. Well, yeah, I mean, it was in the shop launch day morning, and I'm in the market for a new action camera. I was thinking about the GoPro Hero 10. I was also thinking about the Go 2 because I'm not that fussed about 4K, but then I read some things about its FPV performance that I thought, okay, let's go for the Action 2. And on paper, this is brilliant. I mean, it's very nicely made. It feels premium. I'm still not convinced by the metal body, but for me, it was going to do everything I thought because I can stick it to the underneath of the bike. I can stick it on top of the FPV drone, and all the videos take a look at the performance, and it certainly looks better than the DJI FPV drone camera. I'll give it that. What's one problem with it? It gets red hot.
Some like it hot, some sweat when the heat is on.
I mean, it gets red hot. Now, I've switched it on. I've had it on for a second, and I can already feel it heating up. It's on 4K, 25 frames. It's not doing anything, but it feels really, really warm already, and that is a problem.
Now, is that with the standard temperature control on, or do you have temperature control off?
No, I switched it off because in Thailand there are no such regulations because it turns out, thanks to Sean over at Geeks Varna, that this is geofenced, which means that certain regulations, I would suspect in the whole of the European Union and the UK, means that you can't turn it off. So yeah, it's off. I haven't had it overheat yet, but it gets very, very warm. So, and that's without it even filming. So, and if you plug this so we've turned this on for a second. If we plug in the, I do love the clicking. The clicking is cool. If we plug in the additional,
cool. It's all magnetic, right?
If we plug in the additional screen, again, something very neat is that you can control it from the front forward screen. So you can bring it down. So you swipe it up to unlock, and you can bring it down. You've got all the settings and everything.
They're both touch screens, right, Keith?
Front. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, that's
But
improvement
again,
right there.
there's this can be fixed in software, but we turned it up like that. It doesn't lock. So when so the controls stay the same corners. Now you would think logically that it would do that, but it doesn't. So it's and then here is one thing that surprised me about this is I got it out of the box. It was all sealed.
Okay.
It was all wrapped up, and there was this on it. Now, what you can't hear, and I will plug in the screen so you can hear it.
Corey's mumbling in the background.
That is Chinese.
They're testing.
It's not Thai.
Wow.
A little test. Got a little test time.
It had a little video on it. Now it looks like they didn't remove the wrapping, but it's clearly been taken out the box.
What if they did that in like QC, like a QC test or something, and they just didn't delete it?
But it is quite cool. But the one thing I can show you guys, I think, if this works, I am not sure. Now then, let's see if this works. I don't know if this will because it's not 100% reliable, but we can try. Hopefully, I will return in a second. There you go.
Well, you're live streaming from the camera, right?
I am live streaming from the camera, so that's with the standard D-warp on. So even with the standard D-warp on, it looks a bit odd.
It looks a little spacey. Yeah, it almost looks like my it looks like my 360 camera when I straighten it out.
Yeah,
that's ultra.
Doesn't
that's
it?
ultra
it's
wide.
Like, look how stretched like the perimeter is, or the peripheral.
It's very stretched, just like a 360 camera.
God, that Keith, that's like wow. It's almost like it's like drugs.
Ugh. So I guess they, I guess that's one of the features is it can be used as a webcam, but it looks like a funky webcam.
I think it needs some work.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, that's it right up against me. You see,
that's better. When it's really close to you, it's better.
Yeah, but it's up close and personal. But even then, you can see my face is a bit sort of.
Oh yeah,
it's not. Warped. It's not as bad, but it's definitely stretched when like you pull it back.
Oh yeah,
it makes that room look huge.
It feels really warm. I mean, I'm touching it now. Now, what it's doing is it's charging. One of the things I've noticed is when you plug in the screen to the top one, it I will switch my screen back because it's probably going to make people seasick. But when you switch it with the dual screens here, it charges the top camera, and when it does that, it gets really warm. So I can't see how they can fix this problem because
hopefully they can with firmware, but it's hard to say if it's not hardware. If it's a hardware issue, it might be hard to correct with firmware.
This is a completely sealed product. Now, when it's sitting on top of an FPV drone and you're screaming down, 80 miles an hour through
air cooling,
your hills, you're going to get air cooling. If it's
somebody
in the water,
was kidding, Keith. Somebody was kidding about putting like a magnetic cooling fin on it. John, you see that too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It needs it, but I mean, they supply you with this little thing. So and it's made of metal, which is all the accessories again. There's no plastic inside except the little cap that you put on this because this is what they call nano rubber. So you can stick this to pretty much anything. And then you just wash it off with water, and it gets sticky again. So you can stick it to something else. So the only plastic that you get on this thing is the cover on this, and the pendant. The pendant is plastic, but both this and the ball head are made of metal. And obviously, this is the GoPro style mount. Again, the good thing is as well the thing that they've done is that they've made it so you can't put it on the wrong way. It repels when you put it that way around. So you have to pick it on the right way. And there you go. There's your there's your FPV camera, and the idea of it is really cool. I mean, I on purpose, before I even bought it, put it in the title. Is this an action camera? Well,
maybe
it can't. Well, at the moment, I'd say no, it's not, because it can't do 4K 60 frames a second for more than 5 minutes, and unless you are doing something in the water, or you're sticking this on an FPV drone which is constantly ripping it around.
But if it's in the water and it's in that case, isn't that case is plastic?
There again, some of the real YouTube reviews have showed it
actual heated use.
Nope, because they've showed it overheating in the plastic case within seconds, and you get condensation on some of the cases, so the cases leak. Now,
DJI. Wow.
Again, people have proven that by using this and offloading some of the media recording to this, as opposed to media recording on the device itself, it cools it down. Chuck sent me a video about it yesterday, and it's true. It does. But that's only after it's charged. So you have to have this powered on and having charged this straight away for it to work. I mean, the screens are fantastic. I mean, the full screening you can see are great. But I'm not entirely convinced it's fit for purpose.
But so the other problem is that you can't use that secondary attachment underwater. It's not waterproof, right? So, for people who do want to use it as an underwater camera, okay, kind of solves the problem with it getting all heated up, but you can't take it underwater, so
they have a case for it, though.
Solve one problem, create another.
They have a case for it, though.
That's true.
They have a case for it, but it overheats in the case, because obviously the cooling that you get from the water doesn't transfer. You see, I mean, when I first saw reports that it was going to be metal, it concerned me about durability. I'd say that it's durable, but I would say that it is not. It's still metal, and being metal, it means that it's going to show up scuffs and things like this. This is the GoPro Hero 7, plastic, rubberized, right, over the top of it. It has the doors, which are waterproof. It's a tried and tested design. Why? I like the idea of the size of this thing, but you could have put a door on the side and enabled a SD card into this, because although DJI tell you it's got 32 gigs of onboard storage, 10 gig of that is taken up by its OS.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was shocked, because with any storage medium, after formatting and whatever operating system is on the device, that when you see the advertised onboard space, you're expecting to lose maybe 2 gigs, 3 gigs, not 10. Yeah. That was a huge shocker to see that 10 gigabytes is unusable on a 32 gigabyte, device. That's just insane.
It's
Friday night, man.
It's mental.
Chuck has to drink because it's so bad. See?
Yeah.
I am disappointed. Actually, I'm really disappointed with DJI on this one. Because
listen, I am too, because I look. This is the Session 5, and this is a great camera. Still was a great camera. GoPro doesn't make it anymore. They just don't seem to have any intention of making this form factor anymore. But let's be honest, this is getting old. This is old now. And when I saw the Action 2, I thought, is this it? Is this maybe going to be the Session 5 replacement that we've been looking for? And
you were hoping.
And yeah, and then it turned out that except for video quality, this is still better in every other way compared to the Action 2. I mean, except for video quality. The video quality looks is amazing. If we ignore the stabilization issues, that's a whole other
And
That's
the
a whole
big,
other
it has
problem.
a really big sensor, much bigger than the original Action.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And then the
absolutely.
Yeah.
original Action, the front screen isn't a touch screen, so that's a
I,
plus. They have a touch screen in front now, and of
Yeah,
course
the,
it's
the,
modular, so you only
I
need
love the
this
original
half of it.
Action. Now, now this is an action camera. Being able to
This is
see
an
the front
action camera,
screen
yeah.
and looking at what you. I mean, I went down a water slide with this thing, and I was able to keep myself in frame with the front screen. And this thing is great. I don't know what the hell they did with the Action 2.
I am tempted to take it back and swap it out for a GoPro Hero 10. I am I am tempted. I mean, I don't. I hopefully the store that they supposedly have 7 day return satisfaction, but
Probably a
obviously,
special case where once you buy it, it's yours forever.
yeah, that's my only fear. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, the thing is on the FPV drone, which I
Mm-hmm.
haven't tightened it, but I mean, it sits so beautifully.
Right.
Um, and but I'm loath to try it because if I crash, I'm screwed. I've got to keep it.
Right.
And at the moment, I've got a good enough reason to say, look, this was taken out of the box prior to me even thingy. I know it's a test video, but it was somebody unboxed it. It was in
Oh,
Chinese
that could
when
have
I
been on
when I
the
got it.
factory line. I've heard of
It
Mavic drones having footage on the
Yeah,
internal
but it wasn't
storage.
just the footage, Chuck. Somebody had gone through the setup and the menus and everything else. So
So somebody messed with
um,
it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
somebody
they should be
somebody
able to return that easily just based on that alone. They would probably
yeah.
just take it right back.
So it was already activated, Keith? Was it
Yes,
pre-activated?
but no, it wasn't
Oh,
activated. But it doesn't. It operates prior. You can use this straight out the box. It just to activate it. You only activate it when you connect it to Mimo.
okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but it is usable out of the box.
So Keith, I have
Um,
a question. Would you consider? Do you have the Insta 360 Go too? Do you have that?
no, but I was thinking about it
Dude,
because
I gotta tell you, you could swap that for the Go too, and honestly, less money, and you will be able to get what you want. I mean, it can film at what 2.7K,
yeah,
1080 50. I mean, the video that comes out of this thing is pretty good for what it is. It won't weigh
mm,
down that DJI FPV drone. I throw this thing on my 4-inch FPV quads where I can't carry a whole lot of weight, and this thing is really fun. It's really good.
the thing that I liked about this is that it shoots. It's the same sensor as you've got in the Pocket Two.
Or there it is.
Right.
Yeah, so it shoots in D-Cinelite. So
Mm.
coloring it, in theory, should be relatively simple because you have that DJI profile throughout all the cameras that you use.
Yeah, good
And
point.
I had a need
It's not a big deal.
to. What I liked about it was that I'm going to be doing some bike vlogs, and I wanted to stick that because I've got this nice little. I've got a Garmin mount on my bike where the underneath of it is a GoPro style mount, and I could stick that on there. And the idea was that right, I want to be able to. Now I know you can do this with the Go 2, but it's a bit more clunky. But
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of being able to have the pendant on underneath my jersey, and then just being able to quickly switch it off from the front of the Garmin stand, sticking on there, and getting all that B-roll. Because at the end of the day, this was going to be my B-roll camera. I was going to use my Pocket 2 with that
Zip it.
built-in wireless remote, so I can then
Sorry.
do the. That's okay. I can then do the two the sort of all the B-roll, and I've got my Pocket 2, and I've got all that footage in D-Cinelite, and it would be
Gotcha.
perfect for my filming. And that is the only reason I haven't straight away taken this back. But I keep seeing all these. I mean, yesterday there was just a plethora of real videos from people, and the overheating is a big issue. It's much worse than the GoPro Hero 10. So
I
there's
watched
my
Aldrin's. I watched Vix. Vix was interesting. They talked about the overheating problem. What else did I watch? I didn't really watch Billy's all the way through. I probably should have.
I feel
But
like
it seems
even
like the common denominator is heat. The heat problem
yeah.
is the common denominator. It's like if there's a way to correct that so that it can record longer duration and not melt down,
I think it's gonna be
then
really tough. And honestly, we're not talking about a cheap product here, right? I
no, it's
mean,
expensive. It's 500 and something dollars, right?
yeah. Do you?
For the
The
full on
question, I guess
extra
that
screen.
the question Keith has to ask is, and anybody who has it in their hands now, do they want to wait and see if DJI can solve that problem? Now they might
Right.
be able to, but don't. They're already selling a camera to people that has obviously major problems with heat. Do you really want to go for the ride and be the beta test? And it may never be solved. So it's a lot of money to have in play for an issue
Yeah,
that
it's really
maybe
it's
it is what it is.
a
All of these
shame.
action cameras get hot. They all get hot. That's the other thing too.
But
Whether
they
you have a
keep rolling.
GoPro, an Insta, or anything, my experience is they all get hot. It's just kind of the nature of all those little electronics being crammed in together.
And the big sensor.
Maybe this was
Yeah.
under engineered. Maybe it was just under engineered, and they put it to market because it was what it was, and they needed to get it out there.
Well, they rushed it. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah, it's starting to seem that way.
Yeah. I mean, it's again another example, and I've had. This is no disrespect to the YouTubers, because I happen to obviously, if you're a regular viewer of this channel, we know a couple of these guys, and genuinely they're good guys. But I have a problem with this early access thing, and they clearly are not allowed to say everything. I understand why they do it, because obviously it drives traffic to their channels, and they play with seriously cool things sometimes, like the Mavic 3. Although, you might have the Mavic 3 and you put a video out saying the best drone in the world is yet to rest a week before the Mavic 3 comes out. Yeah, best drone in the world.
Inspires confidence,
Careful.
right? Inspires confidence.
Careful.
At
the moment those words were spoken, that may be true.
But I guess Keith, and I think
Officially.
about it, the last time I was on the show, I think one of the things that bothered you about the DJI FPV drone, right, is that the camera, right? You were hoping for some firmware updates to really kind of fix that camera, and look what happened. It never happened, right?
There's been numerous firmware upgrades to the FPV drone. I haven't done any of them because I've got it unlocked or in FCC mode, because the other problem is that OcuSync 3 performance when you are not in FCC mode is not good. And
I didn't
again,
I didn't bring mine to Scotland, so I have no idea. If I brought it, I could have experienced that.
Yeah, this is true, but yeah, I mean, you did have the Mini 2, but again, you weren't flying the Mini 2 that far from you.
No, the Mini 2 was always kind of
and you were on the smart controller. So now I don't know. I don't officially know how DJI do this, because I know the drone has GPS positioning, but certainly with the older drones, it would use the controller to do the switching between the modes. And the FPV drone, even though it has GPS, again, it's done via the goggles, not via the drone. So you hack the goggles. So I believe it's the controller. So you might never have gone into CE mode, because if you didn't have your smart controller connected to your phone and having an active connection.
Oh, I didn't.
There you go. So
you didn't know. It's still.
But I can tell you that I'm not impressed with OcuSync 3 outside of OcuSync 3 in FCC mode. Brilliant. I mean, it is. That FPV drone will fly under bridges and it won't lose signal. But that's in that mode. And it's funny how the European drone guys haven't really brought this up now, and complain. Maybe it's because, again, Obviously, there's a lot more American people, and there's a lot more American people making YouTube videos, and they've all gone how amazing it is.
Frankie
But
says yes.
It's just not good here. It isn't. So this is one thing that's now beginning to really turn me off DJI altogether. I'm seriously contemplating on picking up an Autel Nano. I mean, I really am.
Yeah.
Because Autel Nanos are it's a drone that I could do with, because I want a small light drone that can track, and the Nano can do that, and it's available here. I know it's not available in the US yet, but it's here. I've seen it.
Do you think a lot of the influencers who may not bring up the fact that OcuSync 3 is just terrible if you're not in FCC mode, do you think that there's just a lot of people who just know about that FCC hack or end up figuring it out, and after that they just run it that way, so they don't even bring it up because they feel like for the consumer it's not going to be a big deal because they're going to know that they have to do that hack to get it done with? Like, you get what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah, I
skip it over because doing the hack is practically a requirement almost. It sounds like just to use
pretty
the
much necessary from what Keith described. Yeah, I mean,
right.
I would agree with you. The couple of people that I've spoken to outside of the US that have the FPV drone, at least one of them has done the hack. You could be right, John, and they just might not be vocal about it. But the Air 2S isn't any better. Okay, the Air 2S is a very different drone that you use it for a very different application, but it isn't any better. So, and obviously hacking the Air 2S is a hell of a lot more difficult. But yeah, John, you fly behind a tree and it loses signal, and that was one of the things when I was flying the drone that I really noted, and I did note it in my review. Obviously, halfway through that I did do the hack, because it was just becoming impossible to fly through trees, and at one point it decided to lose signal under a tree, and I very, very nearly lost it, because obviously what the drone does again, and this is something you can switch off, but automatically out the box, the FPV drone, if it loses signal, it goes into return to home mode. What does a return to home mean? It sends.
Shoots
so
up,
it would go up, stop in the middle there, and then start going up. And if you're under a tree, you're kind of shagged. So it's.
You can set that though, Keith. You know that you can set it to just
yes.
or whatever.
So yeah, I'm aware of that, and I have done since. But this, I mean, I should have gone with my gut. I love it. And I saw it in the box and I thought, yeah, it's going to do everything I want to do. Chuck had said to me the night before we're having a conversation, the one thing that so I'm blaming Chuck's fault, but no, joking aside, Chuck made a really good observation in the fact that he said, you know, if you've got DJI products all the way across, coloring and everything becomes a lot easier. And
that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah,
I do like having the same like D-Log color profile and everything, because then I'll set up like the white balance the same on everything, and then when I go into post, it's kind of like when you go to color grade, everything's easier. But in this case, this thing is really disappointing. That you expect more from DJI, right? You expect more. Maybe little things will be wrong out of the box, but not this. This is pretty serious.
Pretty bad. You know, I was hyped for it too, honestly. When I saw the leaked specs, I thought this looks pretty good. Now there were some red flags. When I saw that the recording time that they used, what was it, like 40 minutes on 1080 at 30? That was concerning to me when I saw that. I'm like, ugh. Like, if it's getting like that off of the little 1S battery on board, 1080 at 30, what are we going to get, 4K, 60?
SD.
Or 4K, or even 4K at 120. 4K at 120 was really exciting me.
Yeah, it sounds great, right? It looks great on paper.
On paper, it looked excellent, and then we see that it's a turd.
It's too bad.
What
I
I mean,
really,
it's
I really
4K.
hope they can
It's
straighten it out.
it's 4K 120 is when it will record, it's very good.
It's got yes, it's got to be awesome.
Hey,
But it only records for about 2 to 3 minutes. And
So
I live in
like, what is
Thailand.
that?
it's like, yeah, and how long, Keith? How long will it work as a webcam? I mean, not that you're going to use it for that
I
very
haven't
often, but
tested it, but it was getting really warm just in the time that we were using it.
So I've got a
So
question. How do you guys know how big of a file size is a 3 minute 120 FPS 4K video from that thing?
well, what's the
I
format? Is
haven't
it
downloaded
is
it.
it H.264, H.265, or what is it?
264. It doesn't do 265.
Ugh.
Notability.
H.264, huh? So it's
Oh
going to be a
boy.
little chunkier. Oh, you got a guest behind you, Keith.
Yeah, it's going to
I
be a
have,
lot
yes.
chunkier. Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is because, typical FPV flight on like a 5-inch quad is around 3 to 4 minutes. Technically, it sounds like it would be good for one, maybe two freestyle sessions you could get in 4K at 120 FPS. Because again, you got to think you only have 22 gigabytes of space. You're not getting that 32 gigs, which would at least add a couple more flights probably.
But again, my concern is that it's a metal body. Now, engineering hat on. There is many reasons why GoPro make this rubberized. The rubber actually takes some of the impact. It will deaden the impact, and slightly, right?
Yeah, slightly.
Yeah, yes, but it will. It will do more than it will do that. Now, underneath, I don't know if it's plastic throughout because I've never actually converted one to a naked GoPro, but this body feels strong. I've dropped it a couple of times, and it's built tough. Right?
I had the pleasure of ripping a whole one apart, and let me tell you, there's armor in there. There's further rubber to take out. I mean, the thing is like a fortress, okay, to get into. Honestly, it's like a fortress. So it's pretty damn well protected. Like I said, I had a hell of a time. You guys might remember this when I built the little naked GoPro. I tore that Hero 8 down.
Video.
That thing these things are protected like a tank. And the other thing is, very simple, how did DJI miss the boat on a user serviceable lens? How do they miss that?
Now, there is an argument there for this because the one thing that DJI flog, I know why it hasn't got a usable service lens because the concept of it is it's an all-in-one, it's waterproof, and therefore having a serviceable lens. Now, what they do, and what I believe, Freewell have not 100% confirmed, but hinted at that this is what they're doing. The ND filters or any kind of clear filter just sticks on and it protects the whole thing. And technically, once that's on, it actually probably does a better job of a lens protector than that does. So the concept was to get third-party basically people because they make a macro lens for this thing and it takes up the whole front plate and it just is on. That actually technically is possibly a better way of protecting the whole unit. But they haven't, as always, been clear about that. They haven't got their third-party people involved and said that this is what we're doing. I had to email Freewell, by the way, good call, Chuck. And Freewell came back to me and said, yeah, we kind of, they didn't outrightly confirm it, but it was kind of like, well, what do you think we're doing? We've made things for every other DJI product. I mean, okay, we took 6 months to bring out the Air 2S ones, but everybody did that. It's interesting. I mean, I love the concept, John. I do. I genuinely think it's a great concept. I like having the size is perfect. I'm surprised how heavy it is. I mean, this thing weighs. When I got it out of the box first, I went, geez, it's quite quite heavy, and it feels
Well, I had a metal. I
gorgeous.
had an aluminum cage for this thing. I think John has it now, but
Yeah, I've got
it
it.
But
just it added a
but
bit of bulk to it. The Wi-Fi connection suffered from the metal box, but
I don't really use that
al
much.
aluminium, yeah,
Yeah, I mean
adds some weight.
the Action 2
And
is
this is
actually
steel now.
lighter than this thing, but
yes,
this thing can take a
but I
beating.
very
In fact,
nearly bought
the
one
door
of
on
those.
mine is dented, so I mean, I wonder if that would. I wonder what would have happened in that crash with the Action
Well,
2.
I mean,
Well,
Potato Jet.
how did Potato Jet
Potato,
make out? Yeah,
but
his
Potato Jet made a video where at the end he stuck it on FPV drone and promptly stacked the FPV drone, and it
yeah.
completely obliterated the camera.
Now, I will say though, he did not have any kind of protection at all for the camera, right? Like, we don't just throw these cameras totally naked on our FPV quads. We've got a 3D printed shield, and that does help to absorb some of the damage. So I will defend the Action 2 a little bit there, in that I don't
In a
know
cage,
anybody
I mean,
who
like a
just
pseudo
runs.
cage.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know
yeah.
anybody who just runs pretty much well, some people will probably run a straight up GoPro
With
naked.
just the GoPro mount, and they'll just bolt it
Yeah,
on.
well,
Some people will do it, but if you're crashing hardcore, you want a full 3D printed bodysuit on.
Well, in theory, if you crash the DJI FPV drone, the Action 2 is your least of your worries.
Yeah.
I am
hear
a
you on that
testament to that. I am a testament to that. Believe me.
I hear you on that one, man.
I had to fix mine up when I stacked it, and I stacked it good and hard. So luckily the arms didn't come off, but the legs did inside, and the boards snapped in half. So yeah, it was a mission to get new bits for that. But
Nice.
I finally got to fly the DJI FPV, by the way, and it was an interesting experience. Yeah,
I bet it was.
Listen, hey, you know what? I see the appeal. I know this isn't about the DJI FPV drone, but I will say this: I see the appeal. I see how it just gets people in the air, flying at you're
really fast,
flying FPV. You're having fun, and so I definitely see the appeal. But I sure as hell didn't want to crash.
If I was living somewhere like you guys, and was near enough to a load of other guys who are into FPV, I'd be out there flying FPV right now. I would be, hands down. I would be, and because I would be able to have you guys to learn from, to do up my own stuff and everything. I don't. I kind of. There are some really nice guys around here, but mostly there's a language barrier, and I'm not confident enough. So for me, I have a lot of fun with that FPV drone. I am very careful with it, having crashed it and having had to go through the whole repair thing, because again, we don't have DJI Care refresh here.
I didn't know that.
It's the thing. So here's the thing, right? Again, DJI Care refresh on this, actually, I believe I'm going to say this, is really reasonable. It's what, 25 or 30 bucks for 2 or 3 year plans, and then it's 25 to 30 odd bucks to replace that.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's not bad.
But
when it all melts down inside, it turns into China syndrome. It turns into a scoop inside of it. All the chips come loose.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, Keith, because the reason I got to fly that DJI FPV drone is because the gentleman who invited me and my friend out to fly at his property, he's got 2 of them, and he's tired. He's tired of sending one in and then getting it. Like, he's got 2 of them, and he crashes, sends it in, uses the other one while that one gets. I mean, he's got more money than time, basically, but he wants to get away from the DJI FPV drone because he's got race gates set up all over his property. He's got a few acres, and he just flies this DJI FPV drone through these gates. So you can imagine what happens when he clips one and down it goes.
And he's right, because I mean, okay,
but he needs help to get out of that. He needs Like he's
Yes, he does.
got a 5-inch that just came back from Rotor Riot, and he can't get his DJI V2 goggles bound to the drone. He's struggling with that. He also is struggling with getting his Tyrannus radio bound to the drone. And like this is where the DJI FPV drone solves all of those problems for people, because it just works as long as you don't crash it. That's the problem.
It's again, DJI seem to be having great concepts, but their execution is not great.
Right.
Not
everything's all thought out.
I made a comment the other day on one of the Facebook groups, and when the first pictures of the Mavic 3 leaked, and we got like a picture of what looked like, it made these arms look really, really spindly. I mean, I think I can share a picture of this. Let me share a picture of this. Give me a second. There we go. Hopefully this will... Chrome has lost permission. Great. Hang on a second, chaps. I will share the screen. I don't even know if I can share my screen because it's deciding to be a pain in the backside.
Recovery One drones in the house? Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah. You missed Keith showing off his Action 2 because he actually
I can't show this.
Possesses one before we can get them in the States, because somehow in Thailand they have them on a store shelf, whereas we have to wait till 2nd of November to get them.
It's hang on, let me the thing so I made this comment and I said, going on what the DJI FPV drone had been like, I'm seriously concerned about the build quality of the Mavic 3, and I immediately got all these guys going, it's not an FPV drone, you don't fly it like
concern. This Action 2
you don't fly it like
concerning.
an FPV drone, you don't fly the Mavic 3 through trees, or it's not going to be a problem. It's because everybody wants to have the Mavic 3 be amazing. And it's like, no, you're not. One, I know that. I've been flying camera drones for a very long time. Two, it's not that.
Marcus,
it's like
man, how you doing?
Everybody at one point or another has crashed their camera drone, be it a small one, be it anything. But at one point or another, we've all had we've all had that sort of accident, and it worries me that a drone as expensive as what the Mavic 3 is going to be, has,
Are we segueing into the Mavic 3 now, Keith? Is that where we're going?
We're beginning to, but it's more talking about the overall state of DJI at the moment. That and these guys all shot me down, but I said, look at the FPV drone. It's an FPV drone that you can't really fly like an FPV drone. They've got out an action camera that has a metal body.
Really an action camera,
which is not really an action camera, because it's not.
I am concerned about.
You can't use it. We are about to get a really, really, really expensive drone, and I mean, I would have to sell both of my Air 2s and then some to afford the top range.
I think I have to sell all 3 Mavic 2s to swing one of those things.
I am a tad worried now. The early rumors are that the footage out of the Mavic 3 is amazing. Certain people that have had access, Ken Dobo said it in his stream the other day. He said that the footage out of this is the best thing he's ever seen, and he's salivating over it, and it probably is. I mean, if it does have Apple ProRes, it's
I agree, John. I'm glad to see these guys into
probably incredible. But based on DJI's recent issues with quality and build, I am worried, because there is no way I'm going to spend $4,500 on a drone that might have a lot of problems.
I'm actually going to. This is true. I mean, I'm going to crumble and buy one eventually, but I'm going to let it hit the shelves and let people putz around with it and wait for actual reviews from guys like us that are going to fly it without DJI telling them you have to write nice things about it and get the real
Here,
skinny on this thing because I'm just kind of curious what it has me a
here,
bit nervous. That's a lot of
here's the
money.
yeah. Here's the thing to all you US guys, you American guys, and I know you're all you're watching it or watching the replay. The likelihood is on launch day you are not going to have the Mavic 3. If it's anything like the Action 2, it's going to be on the shelves in Europe and here way before you guys get it, and that is partly to do with I think the issues that you have politically, which
Yeah,
we're
the
not
legal
going to get
issues or
into.
the government issues we have here.
Right.
But I implore you that there is going to be this thing that you have to pre-order the drone because that it's going to be the year of the pre-order, that you're going to have to pre-order it. Wait until some European guys have got it in their hands and they're playing it. All the videos that are going to come out of this, and they've got it in their hands now. We all know it. They're not going to touch on these things and I think DJI are seriously tying their hands. Wait, because look, I'm not going to lie. I look at this drone. I want one. It looks seriously
Looks awesome,
cool.
man.
So does this. And so does the FPV drone, but I am getting to the point where I have been burned by them, and there was a bit where me and Chuck were talking yesterday, and I was like, I mean, I sent Chuck some clever person had done a comparison of, and ignore the device it was on. It was more to show off what the differences are with ProRes, but they'd done it on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, which, by the way, has gimbalized cameras. Kind of cool. I know it's an iPhone, but it is kind of cool. So it was the difference is really, really noticeable. Now the iPhone 13 uses the same ProRes that this is going to use. It's rumored to be using Apple's ProRes. And the footage out of this thing is going to be jaw-droppingly good, especially the Cine version.
If it stays in the air, if it doesn't have the problems that the Action 2 has. I mean, I'm not saying it's not an Action 2, right? It's a drone, but still, if DJI is rushing stuff to market because they feel like they're chasing the competitors and they feel pressure because look, they can't sell stuff in the United States readily. They're falling behind. The Fimi Nano I'm sorry, not the Fimi Nano. Sorry, Autel Nano. Excuse me. Autel Nano is pretty damn cool. It makes the Mini 2 look kind of behind the times. They're rushing stuff out.
They're available here. I've held one in the shop, and it's gorgeous. It's a well-built little drone. It feels a well-built little drone, and it has that active tracking on it, and it's the same weight as the Mini 2.
The Mavic 2 is 3 years old. It's old.
Now, on paper, when I first saw the specs of the Mavic 3, it didn't set me on fire. I have to admit,
there's
like
something hidden. We talked about this, Keith. We know there's something on the table that not on the table yet that will be.
I suspect on launch day when Billy and Eldrin bring out their videos, we're going to be, because we know you've got it. It's like they're going to blow us away with some of the features, and there's going to be things that we don't know about.
I think it's going to be a pendant that's a wristwatch because they showed us a watch 2.5 years ago. I really think this will be the Skydio 2 pendant. Will be a wristwatch. That's my guess, but maybe I'm wrong.
There is some rumors, and this is why we put it in the thing that DJI are working on a smartwatch, which would make sense. Because if you're going to go after the Skydio market, you need to have a tracker in it because it can't just do everything visually. And the sensors on the Mavic 3 are seriously uprated.
They're seriously upgraded to like Skydio type 180-degree sensors.
So it kind of makes sense. I mean, it's a cool looking drone. There's no two ways about it. It's not that much bigger than Air 2S. Although, trust me, it weighs far more than the Air 2S. Certainly the box does.
Didn't it come in at like 2 pounds? I thought somebody said it was about 2 pounds. Just like
it's 900 and something kilograms, which is because it's 200. What is it, grams?
Can we do this? We did this calc before. Gareth helped us out. It was just shy of 2 pounds.
Yeah, it's 200 grams more than the Air 2S. It's not quite the level of the Mavic 2
Which
Pro,
is
and it's not quite the
proper.
size of the Mavic 2 Pro. So there, again, the size of this thing is appealing. But as Recovery Drone has put here, and I couldn't agree with you more, I think this Mavic 3 will make people understand the difference between a hobby and an investment. Here's the thing, right? The drone on its own, the non-Cine version, because all these hobbyists, it's really expensive. I think most of these hobbyists that buy the Cine edition, and I will stick to this, are buying an overkill drone because they are not going to have the PCs to deal with the ProRes. I mean,
Well, the storage space will be a hassle too. If you like to keep your footage indefinitely, it's going to take
I
up a
think
lot of space. It's like raw. They're like raw photos, but video form. It's basically uncompressed. It's going to
I
take up a
think
lot of space.
most of you will end up are much better off if you're going to buy the drone with the standard Fly More. The Fly More works out to be now. Henry did this conversion, didn't he? Because I told him the pricing in Thailand, and Henry actually did the conversion. It is 80. I'm sorry, I can't share my screen at the moment, but my Discord won't let me share it.
Bar or whatever.
It was 88,000 baht, which is $2,600 US. So it's going to be around about that mark. It's 88,000 baht here. I can get it on launch day. Literally,
a controller that has no screen.
With the standard now DJI controller, which is the same as the Air 2S and the Mini T.
Way to go.
Well,
first time ever something of this caliber doesn't have at least telemetry.
Because the Cine edition has the DJI Pro
remote, I get that, but
which is the smart controller. Now, as it stands, there doesn't seem to be any stock of the the DJI smart remote on its own at the moment. Certainly not here. The only thing that the shops seem to be getting are the Fly Mores and the Cine edition. Fly More, which has a lot more things in it. I want to be able to show a picture. Chuck, maybe your screen share will work. Have you? Can you share some of the pictures that Henry's sent us? Because Henry sent us. Have you seen this gimbal guard that really does look like Darth Vader when you turn it?
Hold on, let me get to.
Have you seen the gimbal guard for this thing?
Oh yeah, it looks like Darth Vader's helmet. Yeah, I've seen that. Let me see if I can share my screen. Hold on, let me. I'll give it a whirl. See if I can. Where's it? Oh, that's why it's not a.
Is it not letting you share either? Oh, there we go. Here we go.
You see him?
There you go. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so can I zoom in or no?
You can click on the picture and it will enlarge the picture in theory. There you go.
Okay, so that's the drone.
So I mean, it's a sexy looking drone. I love the sort of the black.
Oh yeah, it looks like everybody said it looks like an Inspire, kind of like a mini Inspire, and it really does. I can right? I mean, it's certainly cool looking. This thing is cool looking.
Yeah.
Let me get out.
Can you scroll down to the hit escape and scroll down to the gimbal guard.
I'll show you the gimbal guard. It's like Darth Vader. This looks Darth Vader.
It is. That's funny.
I am your father.
How long before somebody buys this and does a meme of a Mavic 3 to a DJI Mini 2 going, look, I'm your father.
That's the first thing I thought of when I saw it. Nobody else said it, but yeah, I agree.
I mean, the bag for this thing is quite nice. I mean, there definitely is a premium feel to this. As I said, the box is quite heavy. There's your Fly More kit, so you get 2 sets of ND filters.
Wow.
You get obviously a load of extra props. You get the neat little power brick, which is neat.
Smart controller too.
The stand, everything else, the bag has gone back to that original sort of Mavic Air cloth field bag, and I always liked the bag that came with the Mavic Air. It had a kind of a premium kind of feel to it. And obviously there's the Mavic 3 drone, but look at the size of it. It's not big.
Nope, not
so
big
the
at
next
all.
thing is, the one thing I will say, the one thing I'll say about the Air 2 and the Air 2S is that their gimbals are solid. Those gimbals, steady the image really, really well. The problem is that when you actually look at the drone, it moves around a hell of a lot. So that gimbal has to do a hell of a lot of work, a lot more so than your Mavic 2s, your Mavic 2 Pros, which, some people have compared to flying buses. But there's a lot to be said for flying buses because they're pretty damn solid in the air. So the gimbal doesn't do a lot of work. Now, how long before the gimbal motors wear out? And this is not a cheap drone. This is the most expensive consumer level drone that they've done in a very long while.
Man, the propellers look serious on this thing.
Yeah, but they also don't have the DJI custom sort of sound deadening. So what's this thing going to sound like in here?
They don't have the little tip up at the end of the at the blades like the other props have had. I see the sensors in the back look like flat sensors on on the rear of the fuselage. They're flat, whereas they're kind of the 180s in the front here. Yeah, interesting. It's just interesting, man.
This is kind of, it is definitely a stressful drone to have in the air, right? Because if something goes on it, it's gonna be expensive. It's gonna be a problem. So there's definitely gonna be a lot of people, I think, in the general, drone communities on Facebook, and I'm making a sweeping generalization, I think that are just gonna skip over this release. Because they're just not going to be able to justify spending the money on something like this. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think there's going to be a
lot of people.
I think there's going to be a lot of divorces.
A lot of divorces.
I mean, it's being released just before Christmas time and the holidays and all this stuff, and yeah, not a good time to can we spend like $2,000 at least on a new drone?
It's $2,600 for the Fly More, and let's face it, that's what most people are going. Yeah, that's what
controller. Damn it,
that's what most people are going to buy. Except there are going to be some nut jobs that are going to go and buy the Sin Edition. And I have to admit, having seen that sort of ProRes comparison on the iPhone
might
13,
be a nut job, Keith. I don't know. Might be a nut job.
Well, no, hang on.
That's how you and
I, I think your machine can handle ProRes. I think it can. That graphics, that GPU that you've got in there should be able to handle it. I have got, or touch wood, December the 1st, December the 2nd, I have a very bright and shiny, very, very eye-wateringly expensive new laptop coming. I've been waiting for 2 years, in fairness. So, but it's on order. I am very excited about it because of the performance on that thing is just amazing. But it does happen to be able to edit 2 8K streams of ProRes at the same time, which is kind of awesome. So for me, yes, I have to admit, having seen the comparisons of the ProRes on the iPhone 13, I can see the difference.
John's got a friend.
I've got a friend somewhere.
I've got a friend, but he's plastic.
He's in his...
Laurie finished him.
He's in his bed. He's kind of cool.
See? Laurie finished him.
Laurie, hurry up and build his rocket.
Yeah, right?
Whoa. Yeah, she can have my rocket later.
Oh. Demonetized. Thanks.
Yeah, cheers, Chuck.
We were going to be monetized anyway.
But it's I've completely lost my train of thought. So the ProRes is
Chuck's rocket's making you lose your train of thought.
Yeah, Chuck's rocket. I was actually talking. He has a Lego Saturn V. He also has
that I have to build.
He also has the space shuttle and he has the moon lander, and he hasn't built them yet. And it's like, will you?
They're all in the box. On the box.
But the ProRes on this thing, I can see the difference. I can. And the Mavic 3 is going to be using it. The thing that doesn't impress me is the fact that it has a much lower aperture on that telephoto, so it goes from f 2.8 to f4.4.
Yeah,
It's a
gonna be like this
telephoto
camera on
lens.
right now. It's gonna be like,
And
super dark.
here's the thing for all the guys that are talking about zoom in the Facebook. It's not zoom. It does not zoom. It telephoto. So there's a difference. Zoom allows you to zoom in and out, which was really cool about the Mavic 2 Zoom, because you could get those different perspectives and you had control over that. On this, you don't. It is a telephoto lens. So just like your iPhone 13s or your iPhone 12s or your Google Pixel 6s, it's a telephoto. You can't zoom in and out. As soon as you start zooming, it's digital. Therefore, you lose that. You don't get that optical zoom effect. And it's 7 times telephoto on this. So how practical that's going to be for getting, you're going to have to fly that drone seriously far away from your object to get that thing. You're not going to be able to get the dolly effect. I'm questioning the telephoto lens on there. But as Chuck said, come launch day, there's going to be something there that's just going to make me go,
ooh.
Yeah, that. Or a modern, less clunky version of that.
The rumor is that they are working on one. That
I can't imagine them not having something more slender than this right now that doubles as a pendant, like a Fitbit kind of type deal. That will at least tell the drone where the pilot is.
Here's the thing: if they launch something like this with a tracker, I have a justification for this drone. But
it becomes an action camera type drone like Skydio 2, but with better resolution, a solid remote control where you can fly it cinematically if you want to. It'll do it all.
And here's one more thing that I will say again to mainly to your US guys is, again, wait. If you're going to order the Sin Edition, by all means, I'm tempted by it. I'm not going to lie. Wait again, because it comes with that remote. You don't have another option. It is that remote or nothing. And going on the performance of the smart controller with OcuSync 3, I know this is a brand new smart controller, but again, I would wait because it's just one more thing, and that thing needs firmware updates and is wholly reliant on, I believe, Android, and Google and DJI have got issues. Because you still can't update Fly on the Play Store. You have to do it via their website. So I know that this smart remote is obviously going to run a version of Android, but what version? How much
11?
have they upgraded
12?
the hardware in it?
12's current.
There's a lot of questions.
There's a lot
of questions here. And there's a lot of things that when I sit back, and again, based upon my experience with this, don't just pre-order this drone, guys. Seriously, don't. Look, it looks sweet. I want it. I'm not going to lie. I know all of us do. We've been waiting for this for a very long time. Everyone is like the Mavic 3, the Mavic 3, the Mavic 3. But
over a year, yeah.
There's something going on with DJI.
Cycle.
There's something going on with DJI at the moment. Their quality control, they're affected by the supply chains as well. Their biggest market is the US, and yet the Action 2 is not available there yet. Just be cautious, especially with the amount of money. We will be back doing a live stream next weekend with reactions to normal time, with reactions to this because obviously it launches on Friday. So remember the 5th of November.
There you go.
It's I don't know. I mean, the last thoughts from you guys, John. Are you going to buy a Mavic 3?
You're laughing because you know I'm not touching that thing. Nah, I'm really happy with my Air 2. It does all I need. You know, what am I doing right? I'm just uploading video to YouTube, maybe sharing it on Facebook. You know, I think even for some people who do commercial work, to justify this purchase, you're really gonna have to be doing a specific kind of commercial work to really make it worth the buy. Like, if you're just doing real estate jobs, sorry, you don't need this Mavic 3. I mean, am I wrong? Am I wrong? If
you're right.
Just shooting real estate,
I mean, my Mavic 2 Pro will pull that stuff off just fine.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
It looks a little bigger. It might be a little bigger drone, which to a customer looks, size of the drone kind of matters. They perceive that as being more quality with a bigger drone.
Right, but at the end of the day, the home is going to sell whether you're shooting it with a Mavic 3 or the Mavic Air 2.
Whilst I agree with you, I can almost hear Billy and Ken Dobo's arguments here in the fact that there's so many people out there doing the same job. Them having the better footage will most likely allow them to secure the jobs. I can see that as an argument. And a drone enabled
drone aside, when they actually see the final product, that could sway them.
A drone enabled with ProRes, that is going to make your footage stand out. It is noticeable. But you're right.
Camera now to keep up with it.
My argument was that when we talked about this on our last live stream, I was like, I know that 90% of the guys that are watching this stream right now do not need the Sin Edition, and I stand by that. I'm a snob when it comes to videography and stuff, and I like mine to look great. So if you're a snob like me, then yeah, okay, the Sin Edition is going to be the one for you because of the ProRes. But you have to have the equipment to back that up. It's not just buying the drone. You have to have a laptop.
Remember the Mavic 2 Pro? I bought the Mavic 2 Pro, and the computer couldn't handle the H.265, so I was upgrading immediately.
Yeah.
But
so there was $2,000 for the drone, and then $2,000 to upgrade the computer to get it to handle it.
You've hit on one other thing again, and I will agree with you here that if you're doing something professional, then this drone, and for the professional market, for the National Geographic guys that go out into the things, this drone is a game changer.
You can fold it up and carry it with it. It takes up no space, and awesome.
you've got an Inspire in your pocket, and that is something to be said for it. So I don't know. But I'm just not going to rush out. I'm going to watch those videos, and I know that it's going to be, what no drone I want. But I'm going to. There is a void. But I'm going to have a big piece of paper up saying, "Remember the Action 2." Or, remember the Action 2. Yeah.
Must have it. No.
Yeah. I think that's a smart thing to do, to just wait. This is a lot of money, and if you don't need it immediately, which I think there's a lot of people that do not need this thing immediately.
Most of us don't. As hobbyists, we don't.
Just sit back and wait and see what happens. Unless you have a YouTube channel and you want to, review the thing or something like that. Yeah.
I think you're potentially correct, but it's funny how a lot of professional outfits now, these Nat Geo ones and documentary makers, they're using Mavic 2 Pros, and I've seen it. There are numerous people now using Mavic 2 Pros in professional shoots, and I'll tell you what, a hell of a lot of the Thai media here, their go-to drone is Mavic 2 Pro.
I love my Mavic 2 Pro.
I didn't know that.
Both of them.
And they have been using Mavic 2 Pros for quite a while. But every time you see drone footage, and the news stations here, they love their drone footage. I mean, they really do. When you actually, some of the time they capture the remote, it's always a Mavic 2 Pro remote. Always. But I use this as an example, and we've talked about this the other. But Apple TV's long way up with Ewan McGregor on bikes and everything. The cameras that they were using almost entirely throughout, right, unless they were doing professional camera work, was Osmo Pockets and the Mavic 2 drone. So they would have a camera guy following them. So when they were in really remote parts of Argentina and Chile, all the drone footage is a Mavic 2 Pro, and it looked pretty bloody good.
That's amazing.
Those look pretty good. I love the footage I get out of my Mavic 2 Pro is pretty badass.
So whilst I agree that, yes, they absolutely have to release the SDK file, they're going to release the SDK file. I absolutely believe this thing having ProRes, this is targeted at that level of production. DJI know damn well that that's what they're going to be using. And if they can get past all the US governmental stuff, that's a game changer. Right there, that is a game changer for that market.
Is there a chance that because it's so is there a chance that because it is so expensive that maybe it won't have problems and issues? Maybe they'll just be like, "This is expensive. It's got to be perfect." You know?
Maybe.
I mean, we're talking
knowing,
worlds expensive compared to the other things that they've released.
Knowing DJI's attitude and mentality, I'm not 100% sure, John. I will be honest. I mean, I'm just not convinced.
I hope so.
Man, they've really done a number, I guess, for some people's perception in the last year.
The FPV drone and now the Action 2. I mean, I've always had a healthy issue with them. The Mavic Air, when it first came out, was terrible. And I mean terrible. It was smacking to the floor. And the way they dealt with that was... Yeah. Was and I've got videos of it. It's on of it smacking into the floor. I mean, that thing didn't return to home, bang onto the ground, and DJI would not admit it. Would not admit it was there, and they never did. Even when you spoke to their support, it was only when I saw it on chance when they released the first set of firmware that it was listed there. But they never admitted it. And they've never got any better at customer care. Their customer care is still as bad as it was the day the DJI Air came out. When I had the problem with the Zoom, I sent it back. They sent me back. I sent it in for repair, a paid repair, which cost me the best part of $200, right? Oof. Even though I maintained that I think it was an issue with their drone, but it was just over the year. They sent me back a drone. That drone would go up. It wouldn't come back down again because it had a faulty sense of sensors. So literally, you had to wait for the battery to go out before the drone would land.
Oh, man.
And so I sent that back, and they ended up giving me a new one, which then ended up costing me a fortune because I got it replaced outside of Thailand, and because of the weird laws here, I couldn't register that drone here. So I ended up having to buy another one.
This is all the Mavic Air 2?
No, this was the Mavic 2 Zoom.
Oh, Mavic 2 Zoom. I was going to say.
Mavic Air, I haven't had long enough to, and I'm selling the Mavic Air because I've got the Air 2S. As Chuck likes to joke.
Dre's talking about the app on the Mavic 3. It's Fly, correct? It's going to be the Fly app.
Yes. And again, I have my issues with Fly because I don't think Fly at this point in time is a pro level app.
That means they're going to abandon any support for the Mavic 2 series on purpose because they're going to force Mavic 2 people into the Mavic 3. They're not going to give you a smart controller 2 that'll work with the Mavic 2.
I 100% agree with you on this here. I think the DJI Fly app is crap. I'm sorry, but I don't.
It's pretty hard to use. I'm not a huge fan of it. I struggle with it.
It's finicky. It's even more difficult on the smart controller, and I know there's issues with Fly on the smart controller. Anyway, they have got to do some serious improvements very, very quickly for this drone. So yeah, I agree with you.
Rumor is that they've done something to it to make it more.
The rumor is yes. The rumor is we will know more next week.
Don't pre-order based on a rumor.
You see it, you'll believe it, maybe or not.
People that bought the Air 2 and are finding that they are outside trying to get the mapping and other commercial work due to the Fly app not being compatible with other third-party software. Yes,
didn't know that.
But again, that is partly DJI. Again, this is all to do, I think, with DJI being on the list in the US. And I think that's proven to be a problem. So again, I caution you, wait a week. Even if the pre-orders come in, even if it means you won't get your drone until next year. And I know there's going to be loads of people that are going to want that drone, but I'm not. I did this, I rushed out, I got this, and I am seriously thinking about taking it back. So... because I don't think it's going to work for me here as much as it is on paper. So yeah, Chuck, just before we hit, because I know that you probably will end up with a Mavic 3, but you're obviously going to wait a week. Chuck, don't get your credit card out.
Sit back. Well, I might wait till Christmas. If Mrs. Claus is going to grab me one for Christmas, I'll sit tight.
Oh boy.
Maybe.
Oh
Mrs.
boy.
Claus is not in the room now. She finally left the room.
Well, you got to make a list. I mean, If you
No,
don't
I
make,
didn't
if you
make a
don't make a
list. It's one
list,
thing. That's enough.
Yeah, and I'm not sure you've been naughty or nice, to be honest.
Both. Both always.
um, but look, we've gone the hour.
Hey
Hey,
Kai, how you
buddy.
doing, brother?
Hey, buddy. Long time no see.
Yeah, really.
It's yeah, it's going to be an interesting stream next week. So, guys, we'll be back to our normal Saturday morning time, UK kind of lunchtime because the clocks are going back in the UK.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Tonight.
Yeah,
You go
you guys
for another week, aren't you? Yeah,
that's right.
You just have to do everything different. Drive on the wrong side of the road.
Don't blame John and I for this. We're not responsible for this mayhem. We're just along for the ride.
I'm joking.
I speak for John when I say that because I know he agrees that we didn't do this. We're just
right
it's
now,
been chosen
I'm in the
for us.
Here. Let's face it. In the chat, in the thing, I'm in the minority here. So I am gently joking.
Trace has been very naughty.
Well, you always are.
Yeah.
But yes, so we're going to be, as I said, we're going to be live next week, and we'll gauge our reaction to that next week, and see what delights DJI are going to bring us. But yep, I'll let you know if I take that back, but I'm probably going to. I've certainly got an excuse to take it back because, as I showed you, that little video that's on it means that it wasn't brand new. So I've got double arguments. So I might take it back and maybe wait a while. Let's see. John, thank you for joining us. Would you care to plug your awesome, excellent YouTube channel?
Yes, you can find me at youtube.com/John Coopy. And I do all sorts of FPV and drone and camera videos, so head on over there and check me out. Thank you guys for having me. It was a good talk, and I'm gonna have to see where this Action 2 goes. But yeah, if I were you, I would just return that thing. That's what I would do.
I hate to tell Keith to send it back, but yeah, dude, it's
me
just
too.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'll get away with it.
Good chance to sort it out, and then
here's what frustrates me the most about anyone who keeps that, okay, and is unhappy with it.
What if they don't make it right?
On electronics in general, people need to stop buying stuff like that and then keeping it, because that just tells the company it's okay to do this.
Yeah, it's okay to do this, and it's not okay for them to do this.
I sent the Fimi. I bought the Xiaomi Fimi Mini, and I sent it back. I tried it. I really gave it a good try this summer.
They had the Horizon
and I sent it back. Oh, the Horizon tilt and the smudge on the camera and everything else. I just sent it back because I don't want to play those games anymore, right? And that's what happens when you buy first release. I mean, there's always that risk of this kind of thing happening. So, these companies use the customer as a beta tester. I always say.
Consumer laws here means it might be interesting trying to take it back, but I'm going to give it a go, I think. So we will see.
You paid cash or credit card?
Credit card.
Oh, shove it right
no, debit card.
I'll buy it for half off.
It's on your credit card. You have just it's garbage, and yeah, you're taking it back, and then they say
but believe me, this is Thailand, and it's never that straightforward. But we will see. We will see. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Chuck, plug your vlogs before we head off.
Oh, we've been Lori and I have been busy doing Scotland videos. We were in Scotland, almost a month ago now. I have about half a terabyte of footage. I've been editing it up, and if I pull this off, even though I'm in Cooperstown this weekend, I'm trying to get the Halloween one done. It'll be a little spooky. Need to get that done. It's the most haunted cemetery in Scotland. That's what I'm working on right now.
Well, I'm looking forward to your
next Covection dronography.
I am looking forward to it. Check it out. His first two Scottish ones have been really good, so check them out. Also, nice chair, John.
I'm pleased with the last one.
Nice chair as well on your end. This chair. Okay. This chair is like 20 years old. This was built in 1998, and I bought it used for like $400 refurbished. The thing doesn't look a day old, honestly.
I've got one of these in the UK, but this is the you couldn't get the older model. This is the newer model, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Okay, guys. Well, thank you again thank you for joining us, John. It's been great.
Thanks, John.
We will be back normal time next week to talk about the Mavic 3.
The Mavic 3 supposedly, which Keith held. Keith held one in his hands.
I held the box.
Yeah.
I won't say where I held it, but I held the box. It happened to be on a stock shelf, and I spotted it, and I was like, I think you need to hide that. So yeah, this is how I know that there's stock available day one here. So there is stock available here, but I think in the US it's going to be pre-order. So, but we shall see. Right, guys. Anyway, I might have even flown one by this time next week. I will let you know. Anyway, guys,
DJI is going to be checking their Thailand shipments right about now.
Yeah, I'm going to tell them where I got it. I saw it.
Notice is being sent out to keep you from.
I know that a lot of the dealers have got stock, or the stock is coming in. I know that.
Well, tonight you just trashed the action too, so they're gonna be on to you, man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, DJI's gonna be all over you like flies on. You know what?
Yeah. You know, well, but their customer service is crap. So. Okay, guys. Thanks for joining us, John. We'll see you the usual time, same place next week. Thanks for everyone joining in the chat. Bye, guys.
Peace out.